Hey, welcome to Goals, Grit, and some woo-woo shit. I'm your host, Una Duncan, and today I am talking to one of the biggest and most delightfully honest voices in the fitness industry, Jordan Syatt. So Jordan used to train Gary Vee. He is also a dad of two. He is a former professional powerlifter, and he is definitely the kind of guy who will straight up tell you to stop blaming seed oils and go for a freaking walk. In this episode, we talk about the biggest lie you are probably telling yourself about your fitness journey, why fear might be the most underrated motivator in health, and I actually gave him a little pushback on this before I realized that he was right, and how to tell if a trending supplement is actually useful or just like expensive pee, and how to train differently for health versus looking all ripped on the cover of a magazine. So listen, even if you aren't familiar with Jordan and his work yet, I guarantee you are going to get so much out of this, especially if you are a perfectionist, an overthinker, a tired parent, or if you ever hear yourself thinking, well, I screwed up, I might as well quit. Jordan and I have a loving ass kick ready for you. Let's go.
Breaking news. Your dream life isn't going to happen because you made a vision board. You're going to need goals, grit, and some woo-woo shit. This podcast is about getting clarity on what you want, having the grit to do the actual work, and most importantly, constantly training your brain to be your bitch. Ready to be inspired? Here is your host, best-selling author, Una Duncan.
Jordan, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm super pumped. Okay, so I want to jump right into it. Jordan, you have built a brand on cutting through fitness nonsense. So what is the biggest bit of bullshit that you wish would just freaking die already?
Oh my goodness. You could fill a library with all the bullshit. I would say, you asked me this question 100 times. I'm going to give 100 different answers based on how I'm feeling in the moment. I think the biggest one is less about the bullshit that people are selling us and more about the bullshit we sell ourselves, which is the major issue is that people have this idea that they create in their heads that if they make one mistake, that it's all over. They ruined all their progress and they should just quit and give up. And it's like that is the biggest crock of horseshit in the world. And no one's selling it to us except ourselves. It's not companies. It's not capitalism. It's not the government. It's you. You're making yourself believe that you fucked up, so you might as well quit. It's the same thing. Like if you got a flat tire, you're just slashing the other three other flat tires instead of just like filling that one up. Right. It's like, yeah. Come on, what are you doing? So that's the biggest crock of horse shit that I see consistently.
Well, it's our egos, right? Our egos tell us that we're being all macho, like, if I can't do it right, I don't do it at all. And meanwhile, what you're choosing is to not do it at all because no one can do it all right all the time. Yeah. But it protects you from feeling like a big wuss because you're like, oh no, it's just I got to do it perfectly. But you're not going to. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, and that leads down into the perfectionism discussion when people are like, well, I'm a perfectionist. It's like, no, you're not. Perfectionism doesn't exist. Because I guarantee you don't do everything perfect in your life. You don't do every single thing perfectly. You're picking and choosing what you want to be a perfectionist at. And because this one maybe is a little bit more difficult for you than something else, you were saying, well, this thing I'm a perfectionist in. Guarantee you nothing in your life is perfect all the time. So stop picking and choosing what you're a perfectionist at.
I mean, it's funny because we think that it sounds like we're holding ourselves to a high standard, but actually what we're doing is giving ourselves an out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is that anything worth doing is worth half-assing.
That's a chapter in my book is called, if you can't do it right, do it totally half-ass.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's like if it's worth doing, then you might as well put a little effort into it rather than doing nothing at all.
For sure. So actually, we're getting right into it already, but this might be the answer. But I know that you've worked with everyone from, power lifters to like grannies. Do you think that there is a universal truth that you have learned about helping people stick with their fitness goals?
I think there are many universal truths about it. In terms of sticking with it, like strength training especially, finding the thing that you enjoy is without question the most important. But keeping in mind what you enjoy will change over time, right? Like when I was when I was a competitive powerlifter for almost a decade, and now I don't really like powerlifting at this point in my life. I've got 2 kids, I've got a dog. Like I have no interest in lifting as much as I can possibly lift right now. And my goals change. So what used to be my ultimate passion is now something that if I was required to do it, I wouldn't really enjoy it very much. So maybe at some points in your training, you'll like doing Orange Theory. Maybe at other points in your training, you'll like doing bodybuilding style training. Maybe at other points, you'll like doing yoga. And it's like, do what you enjoy, and it's okay to change what you enjoy, or it's okay for what you enjoy to change, and listen to that as you go through your fitness journey, if you will.
Yeah.
The other one, and this one I think gets a little bit of kickback and people get surprised, but one thing I do very consistently on my podcast is I interview people who've lost and maintained over 100-pound weight loss pretty frequently. I don't know how many other people have spoken to as many people who have actually lost and maintained over 100-pound weight loss. And one of the things that I enjoy the most about it is finding out what was the thing that finally got them to change. Like, what was that? What made it click? And without fail, every time it's fear-based. There's something that scared the shit out of them into actually doing it. And I think in the fitness industry, especially in the science-based world, in a very empathetic science-based world, we don't want to scare people. We don't want them to have negative emotions. We want to coddle them. We often become enablers through good intent, but we enable them. And I don't want to scare the shit out of people, but I also think it's important to be objective and honest and say, wow, so many, I mean, there was hitting rock bottom for a drug addict is often being scared, like, oh my gosh, like this could kill me. I'm surprised. So I think for many people, using fear as a motivator is one of the best things you can do if you struggle to stay consistent. Find what scares the shit out of you and keep that top of mind until you find something that you really enjoy. And then now that joy can help move you forward and you can stay consistent with it. But if you're struggling to start at all, think about what scares the shit out of you, and that might be enough to get you off the couch.
Okay, that's interesting because I was gonna pick a little bit of a bone with that because I agree with you that I feel like you have to find something you enjoy and you have to make this process feel enjoyable. Otherwise, you're just gonna quit. And I sometimes say, there's an energy that you're running because you're afraid of being fat versus I'm running because I love the feeling of running and I want to be fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I think that the running because I love being fit, it works better. It's going to be more sustainable and you're going to do it for the rest of your life versus running because you're scared of being fat. I feel like that is a really strong energy, but it doesn't last long. But what you're saying is it might last long enough for you to find the thing that you enjoy. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. But also, I don't think that we have a right to tell someone what or how they should feel, right? And if I have someone who's 400 pounds, who's tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed, who doesn't believe they can actually be fit, then how in the hell are they going to run because they love being fit and they love running? They're not going to love running.
For sure.
Their joints are going to feel like shit. They're going to have foot pain, ankle pain, knee pain. They might get made fun of along the way. They might not do it because they love it. In fact, I don't know anyone who just starts out loving it, especially when they're super, super overweight. And I wouldn't say running because they're scared of being fat. They're already fat. Maybe they're running because they're scared of dying early. They're scared of their child finding their dead body after having a stroke or a heart attack at night, maybe not being able to walk their daughter down the aisle. I think that one of the biggest mistakes coaches make, and I'll raise my hand and say I used to make this when I was younger, is saying that like you have to find what you enjoy. I agree. We should try and find what we enjoy, but I'm acutely aware. I've worked with enough people to know there are some people who will always hate exercise. No matter what, they will always hate it. No matter what, they won't enjoy it. They won't like it, but they still have to do it. So how do we get these people to do it? It's like, well, how are you going to get motivated? What are we going to do to get you to do it no matter what? You're not going to like strength training. You're not going to like yoga. You're not going to like Pilates. You're not going to like rollerblading. You're not going to like tennis. You're not going to like pickleball. You're not going to like rock climbing. You're not going to like it, but you've got to fucking do it. What do we do? What do we do for that person? Like just telling them you have to find what you enjoy isn't going to help.
Yep. So, well, for me, what I would say is find a way to bribe yourself. Find a way to make it more enjoyable. So find a friend to do it with you. Listen to your favorite podcast. Like for me, when I was super deconditioned, hated exercise, found it physically uncomfortable, psychological torture, hated every second, spent the whole time being like, can I finish yet? Can I finish yet? And I bribed myself to do it by walking on a treadmill and watching Jerry Springer. And it was the only time I allowed myself to watch Jerry Springer as if I was walking on the treadmill. And so I bribed myself into doing this super low key exercise that didn't feel too scary for me. But then I started to develop this positive association with exercise because I wanted to stay and find out who the father was or whatever.
Why did you bribe yourself?
Because there's no freaking way I would have moved voluntarily.
But why did you want to move voluntarily?
Because I felt like shit. And I watched myself getting chubbier and chubbier every year. And I knew something had to change, but I couldn't. At that point in my life, there was absolutely no chance of me going for a run or a yoga class. Like, absolutely not would I have gone out in public exercising, trying to do something physical in public. That would have been the biggest nightmare.
So you were watching yourself get bigger and bigger and you felt like shit. And why did you want that to change?
But I was on a bad path. I didn't want to get bigger. I didn't want to get...
Why?
Because I felt like every time I sat down, my pants were digging into my belly. I felt like I couldn't breathe fully. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to wear a bathing suit in public. I didn't feel like my outsides matched who I felt like I was inside.
Okay. So you bribed yourself to do the thing to avoid that fear.
Yes, exactly. You have to feel... you need that engine, like that thing that's going to get you on the treadmill to watch Jerry Springer. Yes.
You were fearful of it getting worse and worse and worse. And you figured out that if I bribe myself, that it'll be enough to motivate me to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I 100% agree with you. You have to be really freaking honest. The path that you're on right now, if you keep going on this path, is that a path that you want to take?
Correct.
And if it's not, you got to fucking feel that.
Correct.
And you got to feel it to the point where you're like, okay, I got to find a way. I got to find a way to grit myself through this thing that I don't like doing.
100%.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's so great to talk to someone who's also talked to a million people about this. But I think that's incredible that you've talked to so many people who have lost 100 pounds and kept it off. My understanding in the research, but I haven't talked to that many people, it happens a whole bunch of different ways. It's not like you've talked to a million of them and they're like, oh, they all did the keto diet or anything like that. They do it a million different ways. Is that true?
Of course. Yeah. Everyone has a different way, and every single person has had fear as a part of it, but their fears were very different. It's not like they all had the same fears. Some fears were very different, but how they ended up doing it was also very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always. So whenever anyone's like the one hack that doctors don't want you to know about or whatever, there's no one hack.
No, that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
So a lot of my clients, and I'm sure a lot of yours, are women in midlife, and they're juggling such stressful lives. Often, sandwich generation, they've got older parents they're dealing with, sometimes kids still at the house, fluctuating hormones, exhaustion, lack of sleep. When those people come to you, what is one misconception that you find that most of them are carrying that you want to bust right away?
I will say I am in this vacuum when people come to me. They've already consumed enough of my content to know what I believe, right? Where it's like, okay, I've seen you talk about this. I believe you. So for me, it's when by the time they've come to me, they've already bought in. So what I'll say for the people who have kickback before they've decided to come to me, the people who might just stumble across my content and be like, I don't believe you type of a thing. They often believe that once they get to a certain age, whether it's 38 or 40 or 42 or 45. I literally just had someone do a question yesterday about, well, what happens when you get to 45? I'm like, well, now you're older than 44. They believe that when they get to a certain age or a certain stage in the menopause cycle or whatever it is, that all of a sudden everything needs to change and everything has changed and nothing will work, and that you might as well either throw in the towel or you're going to need to spend a fortune on special supplements and special programs that are specifically designed for you. And what's really, I'll give a positive and a negative. The positive is I have never seen more discussion and openness around menopause ever in my entire life. I think women are speaking about it more freely. I think men are learning about it. I think now more than ever, whether it's menopause, whether it's women's cycles as a whole, periods, like things that when I was a kid, women would apologize before they spoke about, say, TMI. And now it's like, we just talk about it and it's important, which I love. I think that's amazing. The negative of that, and actually I'll continue with the positive. The other positive is I think we've all seen probably the women supporting women a lot more, which is great. I see like a lot more women going out of their way to support other women, where I think as historically we've seen oftentimes they'll tear each other down. And even going back to the middle school, we talk how middle school girls can be devastating to each other. My entire staff is women, except for my videographer. Everyone is women. And even you were talking with Kat to schedule this podcast. And the discussions we have around how often they've found other women treat each other can be really disturbing and sad. So to see this support of women supporting women is honestly fantastic and makes me super happy. Going on to the negative now, the menopause industry is now a multi-billion-dollar industry, often led by women who are essentially feeding off the fears and the lack of knowledge of other women who are saying you need to train this certain way or you need to take these certain supplements, which by the way, I'm selling. And it's anytime we see something new in any market, this is economics 101, there's going to be money to be made from that market when people have a new interest in something. And so now what we're seeing with menopause being discussed more, cool. Now there's more to sell on it. And so there are menopause programs, menopause supplements, how we balance your hormones, blah, 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 blah. And I think what that's leading to is many women who are either about to go through it or are going through it or have gone through it being completely misled to believe that their body's broken and that it can never be the way that they want it to be. And that in order to change anything, they're going to need to spend tens of thousands of dollars in order to bring their body back to quote unquote normal, which is just, I think, far more dangerous and hurtful and not helpful than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agree with you on that. And, you and I have been in do you remember how long have you been in this business?
I got my first internship at a gym when I was 14 and I'm 34 now. So about 20 years.
Right. Okay. So about the same. So we have probably seen a million things come and go as far as trends. So when there is a big emerging thing, like right now it's menopause, how do you personally vet what seems like really valid emerging information versus what seems like a trend and it's going to go away?
I think the longer you're in this industry and you're especially the science-based world, you know what works. Like, you know what works. Like, we understand what works. We've seen it time and time and time again. I think I'll give you a good example. I think creatine is a really good example. Creatine started to become popular around the time that a few years after I got into the industry. It started to be like, hey, this is a supplement that at that time it was dirt cheap. And people started to really, it was mainly for strength output. And it was, even back then, 18, 17, 16 years ago, it was pretty significantly studied. And all of the research was saying, listen, like, it's not going to change your life in terms of, it's not going to make you a world record lifter, but like, this can definitely help with maximal strength output. Even back then, research was clear. The vast majority of the supplements you find in GNC, Vitamin Shop, online, most of them are nonsense, but there are a handful that actually have merit. And so with creatine, almost immediately see there's merit to it. And all that we found is that, there might even be more than we thought. Maybe there's even more. Maybe there are neuroprotective benefits. Maybe there are cardiovascular benefits. So creatine is an interesting example because from the very beginning, we saw, there's an actual benefit. There's something here. And there was a lot of research around it. Whereas the things that are fads, there's never anything. I'll give an example, green tea, right? Green tea. And when I was growing up, this was huge. Green tea was the drink you needed to have if you wanted to be healthy. Green tea extracts to burn fat or raspberry ketones or whatever it is. Yeah. There was never, ever a single study showing literally any causal benefit on an independent level. On like, this is the one thing that you need to take ever. Whereas with creatine or with beta alanine from an endurance perspective, with whey protein powders, like these are all things that have shown clear benefits over and over and over again. There's never been a single study where it's like, yep, it's green tea extract. Yep, it's raspberry ketones. So when you're looking at these emerging trends, all you have to be like, all right, like let's look at the studies, number one. But even if you're not familiar with the studies, you just treat it the most logical way you possibly can. How many people do you know who got shredded from taking green tea extract? How many people do you know who started taking raspberry ketones and all of a sudden like they loved the way they looked? Never. It's never happened ever.
Yeah.
How many people do you know who got fat burners and said, I'm really glad that I spent $90 on this case of a month worth of fat? Like no one was ever glad that they did that because it never worked. So it's all you have to do is look at it from the most, and this works with anything, even like the somewhat recent trend in saying fruit is bad because of sugar. It's like, how many people do you know who got fat from eating fruit? Literally none. Where are all of your fat fruit friends? Like none of them.
Right.
So as long as you can take it from a logical perspective, you really can't go wrong.
Although I think that some people might point to their own anecdotal evidence, be like, well, I have so many friends who've gotten skinny on the carnivore diet or whatever, and which doesn't hold up to research, obviously, but it's their own experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's a wonderful point. When we're looking at that, I would say, let's look at it over the course of 5 years. Right.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know anyone who has been doing strict carnivore for 5 years. And then also then you can ask yourself, okay, cool. Let's say Carol lost a bunch of weight on carnivore. Awesome. Do you only want to eat meat? Like, is that something that you are, is that important to you that you only want to eat ribeye?
Right.
Like, if the answer is yes, that you legitimately throughout the rest of your life only want to eat steak, fucking go for it. Be my guest. I will almost never tell a client or someone like not to do something because as soon as you say don't do it, they want to do it. Yeah. So go for it. But do you legit only want to eat steak? Because that sounds fucking miserable to me, and I love steak. So like let's look at that, and then also, is this something you actually want to do? And usually you'll narrow it down to the thing like, and this goes for anything, even a plant-based diet. And my videographer Mitch, he's vegan. I absolutely in no way, shape, or form want to be vegan ever. I was a vegetarian for a summer in like 8th grade because my brother bet me I couldn't do it, and I did it, and it was awful. But I respect it because I think it's amazing, especially for people who have like, hey, I'm doing it for animal benefit. Like I really care about. I respect it, but I'm not doing it. So as long as you can look at the success of it long term, 3 to 5 year period. And also ask, is that something you're willing to do?
Sure. Yeah.
That's really basically all you need to know.
Yeah. It's funny. And talking to you, I'm getting a flashback to my grandmother did every diet her whole life. She even had one of those jiggly things in the 50s. And then, and I'm just picturing the thing of raspberry ketones on her counter because Dr. Oz said to do
Dr.
it.
Oz, that's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah. You recently did a podcast where you talked about what you would do to make America healthy again.
Yes.
What do you think is the biggest mismatch between the content that gets attention online and the content that would actually really help people?
It's wild, the social media world we're living in right now. I've been making content since July of 2011. So I've been doing it a while, and I've never seen it like this. And like
it's
in the
wild
past
right
2
now.
years, it's really crazy.
Yeah.
The majority of the content, and I'm not even talking about fitness, I just mean the majority of content that I think gets seen online is just like really stupid brain rot stuff that might make you laugh and get a chuckle, or like gasp videos. Like those are the main things that are going viral right now. But if we narrow it down to health and fitness, the things that get the most attention are the things that have the most shock value. The things that are really what they're doing is they're targeting someone's emotions. They're targeting like they're specific, whether it's fear, whether it's anger. Those are the major things that people are targeting. So, for example, right now the whole seed oil nonsense where it's like they're demonizing seed oil, or they're demonizing red dye 40 or whatever it is. And I always have to say, like, I'm all for, like, if you want to remove the dyes, great. I'm fine with that. I have no issue with it. You want to remove them? Cool. And I almost just want to say, let's remove them all just so we can prove to you that's not why people are fat and sick. Like, it would be the ultimate, like, people are not fat and sick because of red dye 40. It's just, They're not. They're overeating too much junk food. And there are many components of this. But it's very easy to look at one individual substance, whether it's an oil or a dye or a food, and say this, or like fruit, sugar in fruit. There, to take one thing and say this is the cause of all of your problems. This is it. This is the cause.
Wheat belly.
Wheat belly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, we even saw it many years ago when gluten came. Everyone was like,
Oh,
was
yeah.
scared of gluten, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, we know a tiny percentage of the population is legitimately cannot handle it, but everyone changed. Like restaurants changed, everything changed, and it was not because of the people, not because of those who suffer with celiac. It was because of the fucking diet trend around removing gluten, because people thought that was making them fat. It's actually going back to the previous question. If someone is making one single ingredient or one single thing out to be the boogeyman, it's a really good
Red
sign
flag.
that they're spewing horse shit.
Yeah.
Whereas the stuff that actually helps and is more scientifically based is, crazy enough, moderation, crazy enough, like lifestyle changes that actually benefit you long term. It's not blaming the government. It's not blaming big food. And by the way, I'm not saying these don't play a role in it. They absolutely do. Pharma plays a role in things. Big food plays a role in things. The government obviously plays a role in things. But let's look at the things you can actually control, which is like, are you walking every day? Are you eating fruits and vegetables? Are you eating lean proteins? Are you getting enough sleep? Like, are you drinking fucking water? Like, these are the things that are not going to go viral on social media, because it's like, they're boring. They're things you can control. You've heard them a million times, but yeah, that's that's it.
So given that, do you ever feel pressure to sensationalize or simplify your content or make it hot takes or hacks? Or, I mean, how do you stay grounded when you're battling this kind of algorithmic insanity?
The way that I do it is I focus. I'm not going to change my message. I will change how I deliver the message.
Okay.
Right. So it's not necessarily, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to make up facts that aren't true. I'm not going to demonize something. I'm not going to sensationalize something, but I will put a wig on while I deliver it. I will use accents. I'll use funny voices.
Yeah.
I'll draw penises on a whiteboard while I'm doing it. Like, the way I think about it is, when I look back on my life, and I hated school, I was in special education, I was terrible. The best teachers were the ones who took the extra time to present their lessons in a way that really had me want to pay attention. There could have been the exact same lesson, the exact same lessons, the exact same teachings, the exact same stuff that we're learning, presented in a more boring way, and I wouldn't have paid attention. I wouldn't have been interested. But because they got me engaged, because they spent the extra time doing that, I not only studied it and learned it, but I remember it to this day. And realistically, if we're creating content, you are an educator. If you're in the fitness industry as a coach, you're an educator. That's what you are. And so if you're making content, like, then it's your responsibility to make it, and responsibility to make it, to find ways to make it entertaining, and to make it stand out in a way that's going to help more people actually see it and consume it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that there's a responsibility of the educator to, I'm sure you've heard in our industry, your body is your business card. What do you think? And I think that you've had body fluctuations because you're a fucking human and everyone does. And in your case, you're doing that on a fucking stage. So how do you deal with those kinds of normal body fluctuations and feelings about your body? And how do you help your clients when they come to you saying, I'm ashamed, I don't want to be in front of the camera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing listen, I'll give you a side example. So I made a post the other day about organic foods and a specific pesticide that was used in organic foods called rotenone. And basically I was talking about how organic isn't inherently safer, and and how rotenone is a naturally occurring pesticide that has been used on organic foods, but it actually has major negative health consequences, where it kills fish, it kills mammals, and even if humans have enough exposure, they can be killed from it over a long enough term. And this pesticide is again organic, naturally occurring. It's not allowed on non-organic foods, but it is allowed on organic because it's organic, because it's a naturally occurring substance. I made a mistake and I said it's still allowed to this day. It was banned in 2019.
Okay. Did you get your ass handed to you by the
No,
internet
but
trolls?
I had one person message me and say, hey, like, I thought that this was banned. And I realized that the paper that I read, it was dated and I didn't take that into consideration. So I made a subsequent post immediately. And I was like, hey, I just want to let you know I made a mistake. I want to clarify. Here's what happened. I said this, and actually this. And ironically, it actually even makes my point for me that this organic, naturally occurring substance was banned because of how dangerous it is, and it was used on organic foods until 2019. But still, I want to make sure you know that I make mistakes too, and when I make a mistake, I want to clarify it. Going back to your point, the best thing I can do is try and be as honest as I possibly can. So if I'm struggling with my body or if I'm having weight fluctuations, I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to use different filters. In fact, I'll weigh myself and show you me weighing myself. I'll go through the process with you and I'll take you through it. And I think that just showing people the truth is the most powerful thing you can do, especially in a social media world in which people will do literally anything but show you the truth.
Totally.
Whether it's people on social media who are using steroids and not telling you they're using steroids, whether it's people on social media who are talking
Ozempic.
about.
There was a recent influencer who is a fitness, I think, influencer, and she kind of just admitted that she's been on Ozempic.
So that one I struggle with, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah. I don't follow her. I don't really know that other than the headline.
So Ozempic is it's a medication, right? And I don't know anyone logical who would say I think everyone should be required to disclose which medications they're taking, right? Like, I don't think that it's I think here's what I think. I don't think anyone should be required to disclose their medications. I do, like, for example, I'm not required to disclose my medications, but I'm very open that I use blood pressure medication because I've had high blood pressure and it's genetic, and people trust me more because I say it. Now, I don't think we should be shaming or guilty anyone for not sharing their medication, but I do think that when people do share what medication they're using, we should prop them up and we should say, well done. Thank you for sharing that. So I don't know who you're talking about, but what I would say is if this person, I'm assuming it's a woman, came out and said, hey, by the way, I'm using Ozempic, I think people should rally behind her and be like, fuck yeah, thank you for sharing something you did not need to share, when not, like, there are over 15 million people using GLP-1s right now. Like, it's massive, and they have a huge benefit for people who need them. But if we have a fitness influencer who has no need and only potential hurt to share it, I would say, fuck yeah, well done for sharing that publicly. I'm super proud of you because you didn't have to, and you're being honest. Whereas outside of marijuana, anabolic steroids are the most commonly used recreational drug. And the number of fitness influencers who are taking anabolic steroids, not just men, but women as well, who are taking drugs to make fat loss easier, to make muscle building easier. I'll give you an example I think is way more egregious than Ozempic is the influencers who say, like, hey, I'm eating 2,800 calories and and I can maintain this body, but they're
because
also
I've got muscle.
No, not because of muscle, because they're doing 6 hours of cardio every day.
Oh,
and they don't say that. Like, you have this tiny woman who's 115, 120 pounds being like, I reverse dieted and now I can eat 2,800 calories. It's like, you do 6 hours of cardio every day.
right.
It's like you don't have kids, you don't have any other responsibilities. Like, I see you 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours at night at the gym. We go to the same gym, and you're just telling people you've reverse dieted and now your metabolism is so much better. And the muscle thing is actually interesting because, listen, it's really important to build muscle, but not because of the extra calories it burns. 1 pound of muscle burns about 6 to 8 calories per day. So if you build 10 pounds of muscle, which is insane, congrats, you're burning about 80 extra calories a day. That's a fucking small apple. Like, the muscle isn't even that much. But if you're doing 6 hours, 4 hours of extra cardio, you can burn a lot of extra calories, and you can convince people that it's because of your reverse dieting method, when in reality, it's you're lying about what you're doing. So I have no issue with people not disclosing medications, but I do really, really respect them when they do disclose it because they don't have to.
Yeah.
So that for me is really important. And
so I'll just say about that situation, as I understood it, and like I said, I don't follow this person, but what I heard is that she was normal body composition And then she did Ozempic and got extremely lean and
Yep,
extremely
yep.
ripped and was selling a program to get
Ah,
ripped.
that's bad. That's
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
if it was someone who struggled with obesity and they went
yeah.
on, like 100% so much support. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good, and that is completely and utterly morally unethical.
Mm.
Completely agree. Yeah.
Okay, question for you. If you had a choice between making your clients stronger, healthier, better cardiovascular fitness, all that, or helping them have more peace with their bodies, which one would you choose?
This is a really interesting question. I'm probably going to say something that you might want to kick back on, but I would generally say that I don't think you can have one without the other. And for example, many people will say, I think we should just love your body, love who you are. I hate when people say that for a number of reasons. Let's say you're talking to someone who doesn't love their body. Well, you should just love your body. But what if I don't?
Uh-huh.
It's like someone's like, you should just love your life. Just love your life. But what if I
Yeah.
don't? Well,
Yeah.
how do I fix it? Well, in order to fix that, well, now we're gonna have to work on it. And when I look at people who love their families the most, they're the people who put the most effort and work into their families. When I look at someone who loves their business the most and really values their business, they're the ones who put the most effort into their business. When I look at people who actually love their bodies and what their bodies can do for them, they're the ones who put the most effort into their body. So if I have someone who's struggling with loving their body, you better fucking believe the first thing I'm going to have them do is put effort into their body. And so like what I would say is if I have someone who's not loving their body and like they're really out of shape, they're not healthy at all, they're not fit, the first thing I'm going to have them do is start walking every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's literally it. It's like, I want you to start walking because no one has ever gotten back from a walk not feeling better.
Yeah. Yeah.
You finish.
I hated that walk.
That was
the
fucking
worst.
worst. What a waste of time.
Yeah.
You finish a walk, you're like, I feel way better. I'm happier. Maybe you got some fresh air, some sunlight. And then you're showing yourself what you can do. And we're talking about someone who's really out of shape. They go for a 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk, 20-minute walk. Like they start to notice they're doing better. Now all of a sudden, you know what? I'm feeling better. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to have an apple. I'm going to make sure I'm getting some more protein. And now what do you know? Now they've lost 5 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever. I'm starting to love my body a little bit more. I don't think it's one without the other. And I think that if you truly want to love your body and what it can do for you, you've got to put effort into it.
This is so interesting. I went to acting school, did a master's of acting, and we used
I
to.
knew it. I could tell based on your tonality and your voice and your enunciation. I fucking knew it. You're so, it's not just articulate, the way you enunciate. I was like, you've done voice work before. I could tell.
Oh, well, I'm blushing. Thank you very much for saying that. What I was going to say is that we learned different ways to get an appropriate emotion for a scene. So if we had to go into a scene where your father died. So you would go imaginatively into your father dying and then you have the appropriate emotion. Or you could go physically into the posture of having your father died and it gives you the emotion. So what I'm saying, and I actually wrote my master's thesis on this, you can go either way. You could go for the walk first and just do the physicality and it will make you feel better. Or you can make yourself feel better and they'll make you go for the walk. But you're right. They are constantly in interplay.
Yeah, completely agree.
So the show is called Goals, Grit, and Some Woo-Woo Shit. And so I wanted to ask you about some woo-woo shit. Like, what's your take on mindset, manifestation, energy, spirituality? Does any of that play a role in your health philosophy?
Oh, man. I'm not saying...
You can hate it. It's okay.
Not me. I hear the word manifest and I really struggle just because the number of influencer posts where I've seen like just manifest, like I can't. And that's just my personality. I can't. For me, I'm Jewish and I listen, anytime people bring up religion, I think non-religious people are like, you fucking pious, preachy asshole. Listen, I'm not perfect. I sin every day. Like I'm not perfect by any means, but if I'm talking from a spiritual perspective, it's religious, and I try and do my best every day to try and bring God's light to this world. And so that for me is a major motivator in terms of what can in Judaism, the way that we think about it, we don't think about doing well here so that we can go to heaven. What we do is we want to try and bring heaven to God's earth while we're here. So it's for me every day. I try and help people. Try and in Hebrew it's mitzvot. It's a good deed. Trying to do good. Trying to help people. Trying to be a tzaddik, be a good person to help other people without expecting anything in return. Just so yeah. I'm not saying manifestation or any of that stuff is bad. It's never resonated with me. But the way that I stay more grounded is in my religion and faith.
And how do you think your religion and faith informs your health philosophies? So what is the bridge for you between your spiritual beliefs and your physicality?
Yeah. So within Judaism, we don't have a soul. We are a soul. We are a soul and we have a body, and we've been gifted this body. This is, we will leave the body here on earth, and our soul will, God willing, go to heaven, Olam Haba. But you've been gifted this body, and it's like, we want to do everything we can to take care of this gift that we've been given. And I can't do my best for everybody else if I don't take care of this body I've been gifted. If I can't play with my daughters, if I don't have the energy or the capacity or the ability to coach people, make free content for people, to go out and do charity and all that, like if I don't have the ability and the capacity to do that, then I'm not living up to the full potential. So I think and as an aside, that thought has helped me a lot whenever I deal with people that I don't like. We don't have we are souls and we have bodies, and sort of understanding that like every person you interact with is a soul, and it's like somewhere down there is good, and trying to, and I'm not perfect. I get pissed off and I get really angry when people are rude and obnoxious, but it does help give me perspective and trying to give people grace and empathy when maybe they're struggling with something.
Do you deal with people who are rude and obnoxious a lot in what you do?
Every day, of course.
Like what? What would be a classic troll that you would get?
A lot of anti-Semitic stuff.
Oh my God.
A lot. Especially since October 7th, 2023. But I mean, a lot of I just had one the other day that, it's bad. I get a lot of death threats. I get a lot of people just like gross, obnoxious comments. So yeah, a lot of anti-Semitism in the DMs. I'm
so sorry. Do you ever feel unsafe?
Oh, of course. After October 7th, my wife asked if we should take we have a mezuzah. It's a thing you put on your doorpost. She was concerned if we should take it down. And I was like, we're not going to take it down. Like that's when they win. That's when the terrorists win. Yeah. When you change your life and you're fearful of sharing who you are. I'm also, and not to get too political, but I'm also very pro Second Amendment. And so I make sure I take care of my family, and I train, and I do my best to make sure we keep us all safe. But that's also why I don't share my family members' names. No one knows where we live. I have a post office box. Like it's all things very deliberately to make sure that do our best to separate us from people who might want to cause us harm. But also I'm not going to hide who I am because of that fear. I think that would be a spit in the face of the people who died in the Holocaust, the people who died on October 7th, like all that. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And I'm sure that in doing that, you are also attracting people who also need to hear this.
100%. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right.
You've mentioned your daughters a couple of times. Did your fitness or your priorities about wellness, did it change when they were born?
Immediately. Yeah, I'll say that for a long time, my priorities have been about health as opposed to how I look. Like I don't look like a bodybuilder. I'm not shredded by any means. I'm not jacked at all. So I've always been more about performance and health, especially I'd say since I was like 27 or something. Once I realized I had genetically high blood pressure, I was like, "Ooh, this isn't good." And it really shifted my like, "Oh wow!" Like it's that fear. I was like, "Fuck, I could die with high blood pressure." That was it. And I was like, "Okay." Like it basically shifted me immediately away from trying to be as lean as possible and trying to be jacked to more like, let's see what my body can do and let's be healthy and try and live as a long, meaningful life. And I should say it wasn't that my goals shifted when I had my daughters. It was more that my priorities shifted and my desire. I think we all go through training and exercise ruts at different points in our life. Even those of us who this is our job, we still go through it. that motivation is right here, like all the time. So it's like staring me right in the face, like literally every day when I wake up, and I know it won't last forever. It's amazing. My oldest, she's 2.5. Every single day I'll wake up and she wants me to throw her in the air as high as possible. So she'll like, Abba, fly, I want to fly, Abba, fly. And she likes to get thrown up in the air. So I wake up and there's no coffee, no warm up. I'm just fucking rocketing this girl in the sky at like 6, 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
And that it's like, I've got to make sure I'm ready. I don't want back pain. I can't have
No,
shoulder pain.
yeah.
I can't have neck pain. I got to make sure that I'm ready. So it's the motivation is right there every day from the moment I wake up.
I love that. Can I just pull you back to a moment, though? You said that when you realized you had genetic high blood pressure, your priorities shifted towards training for performance and health versus being super jacked and ripped. Now, I know that people, well, maybe not. I'm worried that some people listening might not understand the difference. Because when we pick up Health Magazine, it's got someone who's super jacked and ripped.
Yep.
If we see someone who's super jacked and ripped, we're like, oh my God, that person's so healthy. So can you explain what the difference is and actually how you shifted your routine?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think number one, when you pick up Health Magazine, you see someone jacked and ripped. Just because they're on the cover doesn't mean they're healthy, right? You have to remember. I think
they're
we all
dehydrated.
know they're dehydrated beyond belief.
Yeah.
Never mind they're like the amount of eating disorders in that group of individuals, fitness models, men and women, is just unbelievable. And never mind the airbrushing and the Photoshop and all of that, but like, if you see someone in a magazine, they're ripped and shredded, never mind the anabolic steroids they're almost definitively taking, never mind the Photoshop and editing, but they often have done the most insane crash diet that you can ever imagine for at least 12 to 16 weeks prior, never mind what they've been doing before that. And all the insane amounts of cardio they've been doing. And like, it's just their full-time job is to look like that on that day.
Yeah. On that 1 hour kind of thing.
For that shoot.
Yeah.
And you know, like if you've ever taken a picture of yourself and you've taken 12 of them because you want to get the best one, and this is just for you to post on your Instagram with 300 followers, like imagine what someone's doing when they're in a magazine getting paid 6 figures for this picture. They're taking hundreds and thousands of pictures to find the quote unquote best one, and they've dehydrated themselves so they can look more vascular and more lean. Like it's unbelievable. So just because someone is lean and shredded doesn't mean they're healthy at all. When I'm talking about health, I'm more talking about things that you see in your blood work. That's really what I'm looking at when I'm measuring someone's physical health. What do we see in your blood? Where your cholesterol is at? Where's your triglycerides at? What are we looking at from an inflammation perspective? Where's your cortisol at? Where's your ApoB at? Where I want to look at your actual blood work. Where's your thyroid at? I want to look at your blood work to say like, okay, like you're good, or we've got some real work to do. You can, and blood pressure, by the way, there's a reason why when you go to the hospital, you go to the ER, that's the first thing they do is they look at your blood pressure and they look at your pulse. They look at
They don't weigh you.
They don't, they're not weighing you. It's like, all right, where's your blood pressure? And then where's your oxygen at? Like, because it has the immediate impact on whether or not you could live or die right then and there. High blood pressure is called the silent killer. There are no symptoms because there are people who work out all the time, who have high blood pressure, they might be lean and shredded, and they don't know they have high blood pressure because it's called the silent killer. There are no symptoms, and people drop dead at 30, 40, 50 out of nowhere. And people had no idea. You don't have to be a smoker. You don't have to be a drinker. Those things obviously increase the risk, but it could happen to anybody, which is why it's important I got a blood pressure monitor. I got it off Amazon for $20 in 2020. And it's I test it once a week, and it could have saved my life.
Wow. How did you realize you had a high blood pressure, by the way? Because I'm assuming you had no symptoms.
So I was going to the doctor once a year, and every time I would go, it would be high. And the doctor would be it's probably just white coat syndrome, which basically just means you're nervous. You're nervous. Yeah. And you're nervous and I just believed the doctor. Well, it must be true because the doctor said it, not a problem. And then I started there's a nurse that I follow on social media. Her name is Nurse Kate. She's wonderful. And she made a whole post about how she bought a blood pressure monitor off Amazon, and she was explaining the issues. And I saw that and I was like, okay, got it. And I saw 2 people in the span of about a month who were in their early 40s, 2 men in their early 40s drop dead, who had families. There was one who was out on a boat with his kids and just like stroke, just immediately out on a boat with his kids, dead, and super fit, 2 people within about a month. And I was like, what the fuck? So I got the blood pressure monitor, checked it at home. It was still high, not when I was nervous. And I was like, okay. So, and that's, they're just like whenever there are good personal trainers, there are shit personal trainers. There are good lawyers, there are bad lawyers. There are good police officers, there are bad police officers. Unfortunately, the doctors that I was seeing kept just saying it must just be white coat syndrome without actually diving into it any deeper. And fortunately, I got to a point where I started checking it on my own, and I was advocating for myself and demanding that they look more deeply at it. I brought my own blood pressure monitor to the doctor's office. I said, "Look at this," and I kept a track. I kept a history. Here's what it was today. Here's what it is today. Here's what it is today. I was like, "This isn't white coat syndrome. I've got high blood pressure. Let's fucking fix this." And so then I finally got on blood pressure medication, and what do you know? Now, thank God I've got good blood pressure, but it took a while. So going back to what's the difference between training for health and training for aesthetics? Training for health is a more balanced approach. It's training for aesthetics is generally more, how do I build bigger muscles and how do I restrict myself nutritionally enough to then see these muscles defined?
Yeah.
That's basically it. Whereas training for health is, okay, I'm going to get my steps in. I'm not going to be rigid with, I need to hit 10,000, but somewhere between 7 and 10,000 a day is a good goal to shoot for. I'm going to strength train consistently, and I'll talk about this in a second. I'll strength train a little bit. I'll do a little bit of cardio. I'll do some mobility work, and I'll also make sure that if I need to take a day off so I can get some rest, I'm going to do that as well. It's a balanced approach. Now, the 7-day week is made up. We've made that up. Our bodies don't run on a 7-day week, and I don't run my training programs on a 7-day week. If I was trying to get a little bit of cardio, a little bit of strength, a little bit of mobility, a little bit of like everything in 7 days, it becomes almost impossible. So my training week is about 12 days. So within any 12-day period, I'll get at least 3 strength training sessions in. I'll get at least 2 mobility sessions in. I'll get at least 2 or 3 cardio sessions in. That's my training week, and it's about 10 to 12 days. And then I'll have a few rest days in there as well. And that's it. And I'm getting stronger. My body fat is staying about the same. I'm very happy with where I am right now. My mobility is improving dramatically. My cardiovascular health has improved dramatically. So, I mean, like I get everything. It's just, I'm not training to be a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to step on stage. I'm not trying to be a model. I want to be able to rocket my daughter into the air. I want to be able to compete with my daughters as they get older. I want them to think I'm a superhero. I want to be able to do chin-ups. Like I want to be able to, like, I do backflips with my daughter. Like I do gymnastics with her. Like I want my daughters to look at me and be like, my dad is a fucking badass. Because realistically, I don't think they're going to care if I have a 6-pack, but if like I can pick them up at school and do a backflip and launch them into the air and drop into a side split. And then also, like, I don't know, like, I think they're going to be like, that's my dad. So that, I think, is what's really exciting for me and for them.
You know where I'm at with the parent thing? So my son is almost 15, and he and I are like in lock when it comes to an arm wrestle, lock when it comes to sprinting. But like, he's going to be above it. So I'm just like trying to keep up with it for a little while longer. And also my uncle, I remember he said they did heli skiing, and it was like a huge investment for their family. But he's like, there is a 2-year window where my sons are old enough that they can do this, and I'm young enough. And I'm going to make this happen.
I love that.
Right? So I just keep thinking about like these little opportunities as my kids grow. I want to be there for it.
Yeah.
And I really want to hold that fucking arm wrestle for a little while longer.
I feel like what I realized, because you have so much more experience with children and their growth than I do. How many kids? Do you have just one kid?
I have 2 boys, 12 and 14. Yeah.
Okay. So you've experienced it. I didn't realize everyone was like, hey, it goes by so fast. It goes by so fast. You just hear it all the time, and it does. But the thing that really hit home for me was I loved with my first daughter when she would eat and then nap on my chest when she was an infant. It was the best. Yeah. And one day, out of nowhere, she didn't want to do it anymore. She was squirming, and she was just like, I want to move. And I was like, what the fuck? This didn't last long enough.
I know.
Like I didn't. The time period where they would just lie chest down on your chest and nap, it didn't last long enough.
Drool on you a bit.
Yes, it was the best. And you feel their chest going up and down. So when I had my second daughter, then I was like, I'm really gonna I'm gonna love every second of these chest naps. And God willing, we have another, and maybe I think we'd both like at least 3 or 4. But it's one of those things where you really start to appreciate like any individual moment with your child because you know it's not going to last very long. So you have these brief windows. Are you training for the arm wrestle? Are you doing any strength work for it?
No, it's just pure
Just
ego.
fun.
Yeah, just every now and then we're like, let's go.
You should
Yes.
start. You should do a little bit of training for it. Just
I
surprise
should.
them.
Totally, I should.
Just do some like progressive overloaded internal rotation work.
Yes,
Like to
yes.
see like he'll be what the fuck. Like
I'm going to.
that'd be funny.
Yes. Awesome. I'm totally going to. Okay, Jordan, I feel like we could talk for so much longer, but I should wrap this up. But I know people listening are going to want to hear more from you and tell them about all the places that they can hear from you.
Yeah, I have my own podcast, the Jordan Syatt podcast. It's on all platforms. But listen, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Like you have the best voice for like, it's incredible. Like
Thank you.
I did musicals and plays growing up. I was a theater kid.
Nice.
I was in Grease and Aladdin, and I loved.
Who did you play in Greece?
Kaneki.
Marty.
Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, it was. I love theater, and
So you got to sing Grease Lightning. Sorry, I'm not over it yet.
Of course,
Oh,
yeah, it was,
amazing.
It's incredible, and then the cast parties are great and all
So
that.
good.
But from the moment I heard you speaking, I was like, you've 100% done acting, and like you're wonderful. You're a wonderful interviewer. You're a wonderful conversationalist, and I
Thanks,
appreciate
dude.
you having me on.
Thank you. It's been so great to meet you. Let's stay in touch.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, I hope you liked that episode. I got a ton out of it, actually. And this is coming from someone who consumes a lot of fitness content. I think Jordan is such a solid communicator. And I don't know about you, but I heard some things there just like a little differently than I have before, especially off the top where he said you need to lean into your fear to motivate you to get moving. And you heard me, I was a little resistant. But then I realized that actually I have an exercise at the beginning of my book where I tell you to feel the emotion of what's going to happen if you don't change. So if you liked this conversation, go and check out the Jordan Syatt podcast. And also, dude, I just checked out his YouTube channel and he has the cutest series of workouts for kids. So if you've got young people in your life, I really recommend checking them out. And props to Jordan for his awesome work on those. The theater kid in me beholds the theater kid in you. Finally, if you know anyone who is sitting on the couch waiting for motivation to strike, maybe this episode will help. So pass it their way. And as always, if you have any thoughts about anything you hear on the show, I would love to hear them. You can hit record on the SpeakPipe link in the show notes. All right, until next week. Hey, dude, thanks for listening. If you like this episode, make sure you're subscribed so you can get the next one. And by the way, if you rate and review this podcast, it really helps me get found by other people who need some goals, grit, and some woo-woo shit. And be sure to connect and DM me at Una Duncan on Instagram and let me know what you thought of the episode. Chat soon.